Hi, this is Miss Mary, Storytime Programmer at the Faulkner County Library in Conway, Arkansas, and we are going to start a chapter book today based on some recommendations and some voting that happened on our Facebook page. We are going to start with Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. Anyway, I've heard it's really good. So today we're going to read the first two chapters of Mr. Lemoncello's Library. And let's see here. Let me tell you who it was published by. Random House, New York. And some other books, if you like this one by Chris Grabenstein, are the Haunted Mystery series and The Hanging Hill, the Smoky Corridor, and the Black Heart Crypt. And he was also the co-author with James Patterson of the iFunny book. All right, now I've never read this before, so this will be an adventure for all of us. It says, for the late Jeanette P. Myers and all the other librarians who help us find whatever we're looking for. Chapter 1. This is how Kyle Keeley got grounded for a week. First, he took a shortcut through his mother's favorite rose bush. Yes, the thorns hurt, but having crashed through the brambles and trampled a few petunias, he had a 5-second jump on his older brother, Mike. Both Kyle and his big brother knew exactly where to find what they needed to win the game. Inside the house. Kyle had already found the pine cone to complete his outdoors round, and he was pretty sure Mike had snagged his yellow flower. Hey, it was June. Dandelions were everywhere. Give it up, Kyle, shouted Mike as the brothers dashed up the driveway. You don't stand a chance. Mike zoomed past Kyle and headed for the front door, wiping out Kyle's temporary lead. Of course he did. 17-year-old Mike Keeley was a total jock, a high school superstar. Football, basketball, baseball. If it had a ball, Mike Keeley was good at it. Kyle, who was 12, wasn't the star of anything. Kyle's older brother Curtis, who was 15, was still trapped over in the neighbor's yard dealing with their dog. Curtis was the smartest Keeley, but for his outdoors round, he had pulled the always unfortunate your neighbor's dog toy card. Any dog card was basically the same as lose a turn. As for why the three Keeley brothers were running around their neighborhood on a Sunday afternoon like crazed lunatics, grabbing all sorts of wacky stuff, well, it was their mother's fault. She was the one who had suggested, if you boys are bored, play a board game. So, Kyle had gone down into the basement and dug up one of his all-time favorites, Mr. Lemoncello's indoor-outdoor scavenger hunt. It had been a huge hit It had been a huge hit for Mr. Lemoncello, the master game maker. Kyle and his brothers had played it so much when they were younger, Mrs. Keeley wrote to Mr. Lemoncello's company for a refresher pack of clue cards. The new cards listed all sorts of different bizarro stuff you needed to find, like an adult's droopy underpants, one dirty dish, and a rotten banana peel. At the end of the game, the losers had to put everything back exactly where the items had been found. It was an official rule printed inside the top of the box and made winning the game that much more important. While Curtis was stranded next door trying to talk the neighbor's Doberman Twinkie out of his favorite tug toy, Kyle and Mike were both searching for the same two items because for the final round, all the players were given the same riddle card. That day's riddle, even though it was a card Kyle had never seen before, had been extra easy. Find 2 coins from 1982 that add up to 30 cents and one of them cannot be a nickel. Did I read that correctly? I'm going to read it again just to make sure. Find 2 coins from 1982 that add up to 30 cents and one of them cannot be a nickel. Duh! The answer was a quarter and a nickel because the riddle said only one of them couldn't be a nickel. So to win, Kyle had to find a 1982 quarter and a 1982 nickel. Also easy. Their dad kept an apple cider jug filled with loose change down in his basement workshop. That's why Kyle and Mike were racing to get there first. Mike bolted through the front door. Kyle grinned. He loved playing games against his big brothers. As the youngest, it was just about the only chance he ever got to beat them fair and square. Board games leveled the playing field. You needed a good roll of the dice, a lucky draw of the cards, and some smarts, but if things went your way and you gave it your all, anyone could win. Especially today, since Mike had blown his lead by choosing the standard route down to the basement. He'd go through the front door, tear to the back of the house, bound down the steps, and then run to their dad's workshop. Kyle, on the other hand, would take a shortcut. He hopped over a couple of boxy shrubs and kicked open the low-to-the-ground casement window. He heard something crackle when his tennis shoe hit the window pane, but he couldn't worry about it. He had to beat his big brother. He crawled through the narrow opening, dropped to the floor, and scrabbled over to the workbench, where he found the jug, dumped out the coins, and started sifting through the sea of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Score! Kyle quickly uncovered a 1982 nickel. He tucked it into his shirt pocket and sent pennies, nickels, and dimes skidding across the floor as he concentrated on quarters. 2010, 2003, 1986. Come on, he muttered. The workshop door swung open. What the? Mike was surprised to see that Kyle had beaten him to the coin jar. Mike fell to his knees and started searching for his own coins just as Kyle shouted, "Got it!" and plucked a 1982 quarter out of the pile. Kyle pulled it out of Sorry. What about the nickel? Demanded Mike. Kyle pulled it out of his shirt pocket. You went through the window? Said a voice from outside. It was Curtis, kneeling in the flower beds. Yeah, said Kyle. I was going to do that. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Oh, I can't believe you won, moaned Mike. He wasn't used to losing anything. Well, said Kyle, standing up and strutting a little. Believe it, brother, because now you two losers have to put all the junk back. I am not taking this back to Twinkie, said Curtis. He held up a very slimy, knotted rope. Oh, yes, you are, said Kyle, because you lost. Oh, sure, you thought about using the window. Kyle, mumbled Curtis, you might want to shut up. What? Come on, Curtis, don't be such a sore loser. Just because I was the one who took the shortcut and kicked open the window and... You did this, Kyle? A new face appeared in the window. Their dads. Chuckled Mike behind Kyle. You broke the glass. Their father sounded ticked off. Well, guess who's going to pay to have this window replaced? That's why Kyle Keeley had 50 cents deducted from his allowance for the rest of the year and got grounded for a week. Wow. So we've met or been introduced to, I think, most of the Keeley family. So there are 3 boys. Kyle's the youngest at 12, Curtis at 15, and Mike at 17. And then there's Mom and Dad. So it's a 5-person family, so far as we know. You ready for chapter 2? Okay, this is our last chapter today. Halfway across town, Dr. Yanina Zinchenko, the world-famous librarian, was walking briskly through the cavernous building that was only days away from its gala grand opening. Alexandriaville's new public library had been under construction for 5 years. All work had been done with the utmost secrecy under the tightest possible security. One crew did the exterior renovations on what had once been the small Ohio city's most magnificent building, the Gold Leaf Bank. Other crews, carpenters, masons, electricians, and plumbers, worked on the interior. No single construction crew stayed on the job longer than 6 weeks. No crew knew what any of the other crews had done or would be doing. And when all those crews were finished, several super secret covert crews, highly paid workers who would deny ever having been near the library, Alexandriaville, or the state of Ohio, stealthily applied the final touches. Dr. Zinchenko had supervised the construction project for her employer, a very eccentric, some would say loony, billionaire. Only she knew all the marvels and wonders the incredible new library would hold and hide within its walls. Dr. Zinchenko was a tall woman with blazing red hair. She wore an expensive custom-tailored business suit, jazzy high-heeled shoes, a Bluetooth earpiece, and glasses with thick red frames. Heels clicking on the marble floor, fingers tapping on the glass of her very advanced tablet computer, Dr. Zinchenko strode past the control center's red door, under an arch, and into the breathtakingly large circular reading room beneath the library's 3-story tall rotunda. Wow. The bank building, which provided the shell for the new library, had been built in 1931. With towering Corinthian columns, an arched entryway, lots of fancy trim, and a mammoth shimmering gold dome, the building looked like it belonged next door to the triumphant memorials in Washington, D.C., not on this small Ohio town's quaint streets. Dr. Zinchenko paused to stare up at the library's most stunning visual effect, the Wonder Dome. 10 wedge-shaped, high-definition video screens, as brilliant as those in Times Square, lined the underbelly of the dome like so many orange slices. Each screen could operate independently or as part of a spectacular whole. The Wonder Dome could become the constellations of the night sky, a flight through the clouds that made viewers below sense that the whole building had somehow lifted off the ground, or, in Dewey Decimal mode, 10 sections depicting vibrant and constantly changing images associated with each category in the library cataloging system. I have the final numbers for the 4th sector of the Wonder Dome in Dewey mode, Dr. Zinchenko said into her Bluetooth earpiece. 3, 6, 4.1092. She carefully over-enunciated each word to make certain the video artist knew what specific numbers should occasionally drift across the 4th wedge amid the swirling social sciences montage, featuring a floating judge's gavel, a tumbling teacher's apple, and a gentle snowfall of holiday icons. The numbers, however, should not appear until 11 a.m. Sunday. Is that clear? Yes, Dr. Zinchenko, replied the tinny voice in her ear. Next, Dr. Zinchenko studied the holographic statues projected into black crepe-lined recesses cut into the massive stone piers that supported the arched windows from which the Wonder Dome rose. Why are Shakespeare and Dickens still here? They're not on the list for opening night. Sorry, replied the library's director of holographic imagery. He was also on the conference call. I'll fix it. Thank you. Exiting the rotunda, the librarian entered the children's room. It was dim, with only a few work lights glowing, but Dr. Zinchenko had memorized the layout of the miniature tables and was able to march, without bumping her shins, to the story corner for a final check on her recently installed geese. The flock of 6 audio animatronic goslings, fluffy robots with ping-pongish eyeballs, created for the new library by Imagineers who used to work at Disney World, stood perched atop an angled bookcase in the corner. Mother Goose, in her bonnet and granny glasses, was frozen in the center. This is Librarian 1, said Dr. Zinchenko, loud enough for the microphones hidden in the ceiling to pick up her voice. Initiate storytime sequence. The geese sprang to mechanical life. Nursery rhyme. The geese honked out, "Baa, baa, black sheep," in 6-part harmony. Treasure Island. The birds yo-ho-hoed their way through 15 men on a dead man's chest. Dr. Zinchenko clapped her hands. The rollicking geese stopped swinging and swang. "One more," she said. Squinting, she saw a book sitting on a nearby table. Walter the Farting Dog. The 6 geese spun around and farted, their tail feathers flipping up in sync with the noisy blasts. Excellent. End story time. The geese slumped back into their sleep mode. Dr. Zinchenko made one more tick on her computer tablet. Her final punch list was growing shorter and shorter, which was a very good thing. The library's grand opening was set for Friday night. Dr. Z and her army of associates had only a few days left to smooth out any kinks in the library's complex operating system. Suddenly, Dr. Zinchenko heard a low, rumbling growl. Turning around, she was eyeball to icy blue eyeball with a very rare white tiger. Dr. Zinchenko sighed and touched her Bluetooth earpiece. "Miss G, this is Dr. Z. What is our white Bengal tiger doing in the children's department?" "I see. Apparently there was a slight misunderstanding. We do not want him permanently positioned near the Jungle Book. Check the call number. 599.757. Right. He should be in zoology. Yes, please. Right away. Thank you, Miss G." And like a vanishing mirage, the tiger disappeared. And that's the end of chapter 2. Tomorrow we'll read chapters 3 and 4. What did you think? Have you ever heard of a library like the one we just read about? With audio animatronic robots or geese and holographic images and a big dome with screens? It sounds amazing. Anyway, thanks for joining me for the first 2 chapters of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library, and we'll read the next 2 chapters tomorrow. Goodbye.